So one question that I always ask an individual is, what's most important to you right now? Okay? And whatever they say, they're telling you how I want to buy. Does that make sense? Yeah. So one of the tendencies that we have to get away from is trying to get people to buy the way we bought. So you want to ask that question. If all things were equal and time or money was not an issue for you, what would be most important to you right now? So what we want to do, we want to become professional sorters, because remember this, folks, amateurs convince people, professionals sort through people. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this information just simply makes sense, right? And you'll hear us say it time and time again, our outcome is you're either going to be a business partner or a customer. Just like sometimes I'm not the best computer person, but I know if I hit Alt, Control, Delete, I'm going to get a new screen. And if I'm on, they tell me now that that's on the PC, but on the Mac, you have to hit Escape, right? So every time you hit those buttons, that's the end result. Does that make sense? So it's just about relating. And then guess what? As we relate to that individual, because we're not concerned about what we're getting out of the deal, but we're really coming out of pureness and heart. Because I'm telling you, when Gracie shared this information with me, and he told me about the toothpaste, I mean, I swallowed a lot of toothpaste. I've been brushing my teeth for a long time. And psychologically, it's like, man, this is absolutely insane. So now I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure I just share the information with people. And every time I tell someone about that, I make them go get that toothpaste, and they feel like they don't want to brush their teeth anymore. So that's a problem, right? So now we got some toothpaste that they can utilize. But then now, the next key component of this industry is learning how to edify the company and your business partners. So I want you to adopt a new terminology, okay? And that terminology is the word business partner. Does that make sense? Because everyone, you know, customarily when they are introduced to this industry, they already have preconceived ideas about the industry. So when you approach them in a particular way, it forces them to digest the information, so they have to respond to the information based on the questions and what's coming out of your mouth. So now we're talking about generating revenue. We're talking about getting people healthy. Those terminologies forces that individual to analyze that information based on how you present it. Does that make sense? So what industry are we in? We are in a $1 trillion industry. According to Paul Zampillo, that's why you have to get that book, The Wellness Revolution, because he simply identifies two different industries, the sickness industry and the wellness industry. So let me ask you a question. If you had an opportunity to position yourself in a 40-year trend, and we're in the 8th year, and it's projected to be a $1 trillion industry, how excited can you be about being a part of that? Who can get excited about that? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about edifying the industry. Does that make sense? By default, all of us are already involved in the health and wellness industry. Secondly, we want to begin to edify the company. Say company. Company. Now, I've been in this industry. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of companies. I still get phone calls on a weekly basis about someone trying to share about a particular company. But I had never, in my entire career in this industry, had heard of Tom Mile. Who had heard of Tom Mile prior to you being introduced to him? Now, I think that's just absolutely phenomenal. Think about it. Now, he's already created billions of dollars, right, for 25 plus years, and most of us in this room had not heard about it prior to 3 months ago. Does that make sense? So that's the edification piece that all of us have been looking for, that type of vehicle to be in that first. We were just having a conversation at lunch, and I didn't realize this, but how many of you know that LinkedIn went public Friday? 3 people. I didn't know about it. LinkedIn went public. And the initial start offering they tell them was around $20. And by the end of the day, it had gone as high as $122 a share, and it ended up closing at $96 a share. You think some people made a lot of money? Absolutely. Because of time. That's where we are. So when you have the boldness to be able to declare that we found a company that has no U.S. representation. I mean, think about it. $100 million outside of the U.S. in 22 different countries with no U.S. presence. That's a real easy conversation to have with anyone. Who would agree with that? Right. By default, if you just stay around long enough and follow this system, you're going to accidentally find yourself on the other side of the money. Who can get excited about that? So that's what we're talking about. So we're talking about edifying the company. We edify the industry, we edify the company, and then you want to edify the team. Say team.
Team.
And you've heard the acronym before, right? Together? What?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Achieve.
She's born. You cannot do this by yourself. Okay? This business, building an organization, building a team, gathering customers, building a large profit center distribution base is simply based upon team effort. Say team effort.
Team effort.
The sooner you can begin to understand that recruiting, building a team, acquiring customers is a team process, the easier it is for your business to grow. Does that make sense? Because guess what happens when we come into environments like this? We hear testimonies, right, of how wonderful the product is. I mean, you talk about Mark had the opportunity or didn't have the opportunity to have surgery. I get excited about just being in this place. I can tell Mark's story about how the products helped him out, and guess what happens? It's a benefit. So that's why collectively, as we come together as a team, we're talking about edifying the team. And everyone equally share. And this is what you got to realize and understand. I think Grayson and C. Thomas said it earlier. We have to protect what we do as a team, as a company, like it's a baby. So if we're equally excited about everyone else's success, our success is a default, and it's a default. Because one of my favorite books says, as a man soweth, so shall he reap. So we want to make sure that we're sowing the proper information by edifying and simply building up the people that we're involved in business with. I get excited knowing that I'm sitting here and I'm standing before you, but I'm so excited about where you are because I've seen it from a different perspective. But now the fact that we're coming together collectively, 40 people, 41 people in this room, getting this information. Now we're going to be able to equip everyone else that we come in contact. We're going to be able to empower everyone else we come back. We expand our own minds, and then because we are equally responsible for our success, then we're going to be able to exit from this place, and then we're going to have success in our own prospective markets, not only nationally, but also internationally. So we're talking about edifying the opportunity that already, think about it. Your investment is minimal based on what it is, that now we have the opportunity not only to build locally, but nationally, but as well as internationally, our products and simply sharing information. That's all we do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, the key to also is promoting. Say promoting. Now, there was a gentleman, he never fought one fight before, but he was simply the best. So I want everybody to adopt an analogy here.